The ancient chandeliers of Église Sainte-Marie bathed the stone nave in golden light, their glow dancing across the faces of 150 guests gathered in the heart of St. Emily, a picturesque village nestled in Bordeaux's wine country. I, Amélie Laurent, stood at the altar, my lace wedding gown clinging softly to my frame, its delicate train pooling like a whisper of clouds. At 27, I was the pride of my family, a pastry chef whose pâtisserie drew visitors from across France. My fiancé, Julien Moreau, 30, was the epitome of charm, a sommelier whose family's vineyard was as renowned as his easy smile. We'd met 2 years ago at a wine festival. His knowledge of Sauvignon Blanc rivaled only by his promises of a shared future. Today, I was to become his wife, but my heart pounded not with joy but with the weight of a devastating secret. My sister, Claire, had betrayed me with Julien the night before. 3 months prior, my life had been a fairy tale. Julien's proposal under a canopy of grapevines, the sapphire ring glinting in the sunset, had left me breathless. My parents, Marcel and Elise Laurent, were overjoyed. Papa, a retired schoolteacher, saw Julien as a son he'd never had, while Maman, a florist, poured her heart into planning a wedding to rival any in St. Emily. Claire, my older sister by 3 years, seemed equally thrilled. Her auburn hair and vibrant laugh made her the center of any room, and as a freelance artist, her paintings adorned local galleries. She'd thrown herself into wedding preparations, choosing linens, designing invitations, and insisting on every detail. "You deserve perfection, Amélie," she'd said, her hazel eyes gleaming. I mistook her enthusiasm for sisterly love, blind to the way she lingered near Julien, her laughter brighter in his presence, her offers to run errands with him too frequent. I trusted her implicitly. She was my sister, my confidant since childhood. How could I have suspected the truth? The village buzzed with excitement, neighbors whispering about the Laurent-Moreau union, a match that seemed destined. Yet, beneath the surface, cracks were forming, invisible to my love-struck eyes. 2 weeks before the wedding, the first hint of betrayal crept into my world. I'd returned early from my pâtisserie, arms laden with sample menus for reception, my mind buzzing with details of macarons and tiered cakes. The Laurent family home, a charming stone cottage draped in ivy, was eerily silent. "Claire? Maman?" I called, setting my bags in the foyer, the scent of lavender from Maman's garden lingering in the air. No response. I wandered to the kitchen, where I found Claire leaning against the counter, her auburn hair mussed, her cheeks flushed as if caught off guard. She was rinsing a wine glass under the tap. Though it gleamed spotless, her movements hurried. "Amélie, you're early," she said, her voice unnaturally bright, a smile plastered on her face. "It's 7 p.m., I replied, frowning, checking my watch. "I always come by on Tuesdays to plan with you and Maman." "Of course," she stammered, drying her hands on a towel, her eyes darting away. Maman's at the flower market, and Papa's at his book club. The air held a faint trace of sandalwood and bergamot, Julien's cologne. My stomach twisted. Was someone here? I asked, scanning the room. "Just me," Claire said too quickly, turning back to the sink. "Just tidying up." On the counter sat a half-empty bottle of Chateau Margaux, a rich red wine Claire never drank. She preferred rose. Beside it was a second glass, its rim smudged with lipstick I didn't recognize. My heart stuttered, but I pushed the thought away. Claire was my sister. She wouldn't lie to me. I sat at the kitchen table, spreading out the menus, trying to focus. Claire joined me, her fingers tapping nervously, her phone buzzing incessantly. When Julien texted me to say he was working late at the vineyard, I noticed Claire's shoulders relax, her smile returning. The moment passed, but a seed of doubt took root. I ignored it, choosing trust over suspicion, clinging to the belief that my sister and fiancé were as devoted to me as I was to them. The village's charm, with its cobblestone streets and bustling cafes, seemed to mock my growing unease. The day before the wedding, The truth crashed into me like a tidal wave. I'd gone to Claire's studio, a loft above a cafe in St. Emily's Village Square, to retrieve table cards she designed for the reception. The space was a chaos of canvases, paint tubes scattered across tables, the air thick with turpentine. Searching for the cards, I knocked over a sketchbook, its pages splaying open on the floor. My name, in Claire's looping handwriting, caught my eye. Curiosity turned to dread as I read the first entry, dated a month ago. Julian kissed me today, and I didn't stop him. He says he loves Amelie, but with me, it's different. Real. I know it's wrong, but I've never felt this alive. My knees buckled. I sank to the floor, the sketchbook trembling in my hands. Page after page chronicled their affair, stolen moments in Julian's wine cellar, late-night texts, a rendezvous in this very studio, while I kneaded dough at the patisserie. The final entry, dated yesterday, seared itself into my mind. Tonight, while Papa is at his chess club, Julian's coming over. One last time before the wedding. After that, we'll figure out how to keep this quiet. The words blurred as tears stung my eyes, not of sadness, but of rage. My sister, who'd braided my hair as a child, who'd shared my dreams, had betrayed me. Julian, who'd promised me forever, had made a mockery of our love. The pain was visceral, but it crystallized into resolve. They'd chosen each other over me, conspire and continue their affair after my wedding. I wouldn't let them win. Closing the sketchbook, I stood, the studio's vibrant paintings now seeming garish. Outside, St. Emily carried on. Children laughed in the square. Vintners loaded crates. But my world had collapsed. I clutched the sketchbook, evidence of their deceit, and vowed to reclaim my dignity. I didn't confront Claire or Julian that night. Instead, I drove to a quaint inn on the outskirts of St. Emily, booking a room under a friend's name, paying cash to avoid questions. The room was small, its walls adorned with faded floral paper, but it felt like a fortress. On the bed, I spread out my evidence. Claire's sketchbook, its pages a map of betrayal, screenshots of Julian's text to her, access to our shared phone account, receipts for gifts, a necklace, a bottle of perfume. He'd bought her. Each item fueled my determination. The old Amelie would have cried, demanded explanations, perhaps forgiven them. But that Amelie was gone, replaced by a woman who refused to be a pawn in their game. I called Sophie, my best friend and a photographer known for her discretion. "Amelie, you're scaring me," she said, her voice cautious over the phone. "What's happening?" "Be at the church tomorrow with your camera," I said. "Something big is going to happen, and I need it documented." "Okay, but are you sure?" she pressed. "Trust me," I replied, my voice steady. Next, I called Papa. "I love you," I said, the words heavy with meaning. "Whatever happens tomorrow, know it's not your fault." "Amelie, what's wrong?" His concern was palpable. "Everything will be clear soon," I promised, hanging up before my resolve wavered. Alone in the inn, I sipped tea, staring out at the moonlit vineyards. Revenge was tempting, but I wanted justice. Truth exposed in a way that left no room for their lies. I planned every detail. How I'd wait until the ceremony's peak. How I'd use the church's AV system to project the evidence. How I'd walk away with my head high. The betrayal had broken my heart, but it forged something stronger, a woman who valued her truth above their deceit. The morning of the wedding dawned with Provençal blue sky, the air crisp and fragrant with lavender. Église Sainte-Marie stood majestic, its spires piercing the heavens, its bells chiming softly. My phone buzzed with Claire's texts. "You're going to be the most beautiful bride. Amelie, can't wait to see you shine." Each message was a lie wrapped in affection, fueling my resolve. In the bridal room, my bridesmaids fussed over my lace gown, its intricate beadwork Claire's choice. "It's timeless," she'd insisted during fittings, overriding my preference for a simpler design. Now I saw her insistence as a way to dress me up for her deception, a costume for her charade. Papa arrived, his gray eyes misty as he hugged me. "You're radiant, my girl," he said, his voice thick with emotion. I handed him Claire's sketchbook. my hand steady. "Read this," I said. His face crumpled as he scanned the pages, his hands trembling with each word of his daughter's betrayal. "How long have you known?" he whispered. "Since yesterday," I said, kneeling beside him, my gown pooling around us. "I'm sorry, Papa." He shook his head, tears falling. "What will you do?" "We'll walk down that aisle," I said firmly, "and show everyone who Claire and Julian really are." He nodded, his face etched with pain but also pride. "You're braver than I ever was." The organ swelled, signaling the start. My bridesmaids in pale blue dresses walked down the aisle, their smiles bright. Then came the bridal march. Papa offered his arm, and we stepped into the nave, 150 pairs of eyes on us. Julian stood at the altar, his dark hair perfect, his smile radiant. Claire, in the front row, wore lavender, her expression the epitome of sisterly pride. The hypocrisy made my blood boil, but I kept my composure, ready for the moment that would change everything. Father Lyon's voice echoed through Église Sainte-Marie. "Dearly beloved, we are gathered to unite Amélie Laurent and Julia Moreau in holy matrimony." The congregation watched, their faces alight with anticipation. Julian's vows were flawless, his "I do" ringing with conviction, as if he hadn't spent the previous night in Claire's arms. Then it was my turn. "Amélie, do you take Julian to be your lawfully wedded husband?" Father Lyon asked, his kind eyes expectant. I stepped forward, facing the congregation, my heart steady. "Before I answer, I have something to say." The church fell silent, the organ fading. Julian's smile faltered, his hand tightening on mine. Claire's eyes widened, her lavender dress suddenly garish. "Yesterday, I discovered that my fiancé and my sister, Claire, had been having an affair. I declared, my voice clear and unwavering. Gasps erupted, echoing off the stone walls. For months, they've lied to me, to all of you. I found Claire's sketchbook, detailing their secret meetings, their plans to continue after this wedding. I held up the sketchbook, its pages a testament to their betrayal. Last night, while Papa was at his chess club, Julian was with Claire at our family home. I nodded to Sophie, who projected a screenshot of Julian's text to Claire onto the church's wall. "Tonight was worth the risk. I'll always choose you." The congregation gasped again, whispers rippling. Julian's parents, in the second row, looked horrified, his mother covering her face, his father glaring. "Amélie, please," Claire stammered, standing, tears streaming. "Sit down, Claire," Papa commanded, his voice like thunder. She collapsed, sobbing. Julian tried to salvage it. "This is a misunderstanding." "Is it?" I cut him off, my voice sharp. "Explain the necklace you bought her, the perfume, the nights you spent together while I worked." The silence was deafening. I turned to the guests. "You came for a wedding, but you're witnessing the truth. I choose myself today." I walked down the aisle, Pop at my side, my gown trailing like a banner of defiance. Behind us, chaos erupted. Claire's sobs, Julian's pleas, the congregation's shock. Outside Église Sainte-Marie, the village square glowed under the midday sun, the air fresh with the scent of grapevines. I breathed deeply, feeling lighter than I had in months. My phone buzzed with Sophie's text. "Got it all. This is going viral." By evening, the story was on local news sites, then social media. Hashtag St. Amelia scandal trending as Sophie's footage spread. Julian's reputation as a sommelier crumbled. His family's vineyard lost partnerships as clients distanced themselves. Claire's art commissions vanished, galleries quietly removing her work. She'd fled to Paris, shunned by St. Temely's tight-knit community. Her calls to me unanswered, her number blocked. Papa and I grew closer, our bond forged in shared pain. He took a teaching job in Toulouse, finding solace away from village gossip. "You gave me the courage to face the truth," he told me over coffee one evening, his eyes weary but peaceful. The community rallied around him, neighbors offering support, their disgust at Claire's actions palpable. Julian's parents sent a letter, expressing shame and admiration for my courage, but I felt no need to respond. Their son's choices were his own. I moved a lion, opening a new patisserie where the scent of fresh croissants filled the air. My days were busy, my heart healing. One morning, a bouquet of wildflowers arrived, no card, just a note, for choosing yourself. I knew it was from a woman who'd heard my story, perhaps one who'd found her own strength. The flowers brightened my shop, a reminder of the sisterhood I joined, women who chose truth over silence. St. Emily's scandal faded, but its impact lingered, a testament to the power of standing up for oneself. A year later, I stood at a podium in a Paris conference hall, addressing hundreds at a women's literature festival. My nameplate read, Amélie Laurent, keynote speaker, The Power of Truth. Choosing truth over comfort isn't easy, I said, my voice steady, but it's how we reclaim our lives. The audience leaned forward, some nodding, others wiping tears. My story had become a beacon, not for its drama, but for its message, dignity over silence. After the speech, women approached, sharing their own tales of betrayal and courage, their words a tapestry of resilience. That night in my Lion apartment, I sipped wine, scrolling through messages from strangers inspired by my speech. Papa texted, Your grandmother would be proud. I thought of Claire, somewhere in Paris, living with her choices. Forgiveness might come, but not yet. My patisserie thrived, its shelves brimming with macarons and tartelettes, my garden blooming with wildflowers. I'd rebuilt my life on my own terms, each day a step toward healing. The betrayal had scarred me, but it also shaped me into a woman who valued her truth above all. As I gazed out at Lion's twinkling lights, I raised my glass to those who choose themselves, who speak truth when lies are easier, who find freedom in the courage to walk away.